What's good, YouTube? This your man Spill Dog. Yo, man, I'm looking forward to this fight with Keith Thurman and Tim Zoo. You know, one thing about Keith Thurman, you it's hard to count him out because although he don't fight that much, he's always pretty much in the fights I've seen him in. Even the one he lost against Pacquiao. After like the second or third round, in the middle rounds, he really started getting it together, but he gave away so many rounds early that all Pacquiao needed to do was win one or two of the rounds on the second half, which is what he did and sealed that victory against Keith. Keith is excellent at going out there selling the fight. That's one of the reasons why most people, including myself, when he was when he was considered one time and was actually knocking fighters out, was thinking, Keith would have been the perfect guy to be somewhat of a high profile fighter for the PBC because if you get him in the big fights, he know how to go out there. He got that gifted gab and know how to go out there and sell the fight. If nothing else, he know how to sell himself. As far as with words, and you can't sit up there and say he haven't put the words to action once he's gotten in the ring. It's not like he got two or three losses on his resume. He got the one loss now. That could be because he only fought three times in the last 7 years. But I think COVID had a lot to do with some of it. To his defense, for me, you know, Keith done talked a good game since the fight been since they announced the fight. He been talking it up, and some of what he said, some of what he say. If you know both fighters, is accurate as far as just if you're looking at numbers and what a fighter has done in fights outside of the fight that they're about to be in. I'm talking about Tim Zoo and Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman has shown he's a versatile fighter. He's not one dimensional. He can move. He can punch. He like to throw combinations. He is a when he was at the top of his game, he was gonna be a difficult fight for anybody at 147 pounds. When he was at the top of his game. I thought about something else Teddy Atlas said. He's had injuries just like Spence had recently. Well, not recently, like I think he had an injury right before he fought Sean. I think he had an injury either right before, I know definitely after he fought Danny Garcia. His shoulder was messed up. And he had a few car accidents, and it just seemed to me like when that kind of stuff started happening, them guys ain't the same no more, to some degree. Well, that's how it has been. Cause, I just can't put it like this. If Keith was active, I really wouldn't have a whole lot of problem thinking he could beat Tim Zoo. It would have been better to me had he fought Tim Zoo in his division welterweight, but Tim Zoo is a 154-pound fighter, and I've never heard him say he wanted to go to welterweight. So this is where Tim Zoo is fighting at. And I think, I think if Keith was gonna go up to 154, I would have liked to see him do something like what Danny Garcia did, getting there with a good solid fighter at that division, but not the best guy, best, youngest, strongest, got one of the best guys in the division, and get his feet wet. In my opinion, this is another reason why I'm concerned for Keith to some degree. I feel like he's somewhat only reason why he had 154 is because he don't want to fight Deron Anderson. That's the fight they have for him at 147. And he pretty much admitted himself on a Porterweight podcast when he said they gave him an option and you can fight this one or that one. And he took Tim Zoo. And me, after I did I watched Tim Zoo before, but I wasn't looking at him. And as far as thinking about betting on him in a fight. And when I really look at Tim Zoo and look at what he's done since he been fighting, especially at the high level, he's just he's big, he's strong, he's determined. He got that dog in him. He hungry, but he's one dimensional. Now his one dimension may be enough for Keith because Keith been out the ring so long. He been out the ring so long. You can't. This is why people like me. There's nowhere in hell I can say I know how he gonna look when he get in there. I know who he used to be, and I know if Keith is who he used to be, he can win this fight. If he's still Keith Thurman, and I ain't even talking about one time. If he just the Keith Thurman that fought Danny, I think he can. If yo dog, pure pain, I think he can. If the same Keith that fought Danny, that fought Sean, that fought the Ghost, and his legs, and if he can stay on his legs for 12 rounds, Keith is clearly the better fighter to me. I done had a lot of people come bite my head off about it, and just because he's a better fighter don't mean he necessarily gonna win. Because, like I said, as much as I would like to see Keith win, I have to be honest with myself because it's the same position I found myself in with Earl Spence. Just because I know they great fighters, thinking, well, it don't make no difference how long they've been out the ring. I'm sure they've been sparring. Well, I'm not sure. And then again, who they sparring with. So this is why I keep telling dudes, I'm down for the fight, but I got to see the media workout and the weigh in. If Keith is ripped and cut up like he can be and got his six packs and everything looking like he getting ready to prepare himself to take them big body shots he gonna get where his weakness has been, then I'm driving me a little change on the upset. But if he just looked like he just been working out and he ain't cut up and it, just I watched enough of Keith Thurman because just to keep it real, I didn't really know about. I saw Earl in the Olympics, but I wasn't paying attention. I didn't really get I didn't really get on board with Earl Spence, if I'm being honest, because I didn't know a lot about him until he fought that dude. His last name was Cruz, and when he went to the Mayweather gym and sparred Mayweather, and Mayweather came out before he had I forgot who he was fighting. Yeah, before he fought Robert Guerrero, and Earl gave Floyd a black guy, and he was talking about how much work the boy gave him. How good he was. Then after that, I started watching him, and shit, he was destroying dudes out there in the ring. You know, and I was a Keith Thurman. I was a big Keith Thurman fan before I got to watching Earl Spence. And there was a few people that told me that they thought Keith Thurman was going to end up like he doing this type of stuff. But I think Keith Thurman can fight. I think a big, his old trainer, Ben Getty, was the one that had Thurman knocking all these dudes out. Now, since Ben Getty passed, Dan Birmingham is a great trainer. But if any of y'all who know who Dan Birmingham is, he made his name, in my opinion, training Winky Wright. Winky Wright was not a power puncher. He was a good boxer, had great defense, and his biggest thing was people couldn't get past his defense. They couldn't. A lot of people couldn't hit him. Bernard Hopkins and Fernando Vargas beat him, and Bernard Hopkins was the one that really kind of he was the one who really took care of business to me with Winky Wright. And so now that I've been watching Keith being trained by Birmingham, it seemed like over the years he got less and less of the Ben Getty style and started getting more, I guess, what Dan Birmingham was teaching him, which I guess was more boxing. Was good. Was good. I still, which was more boxing and moving around the ring, boxing and counter punching. That's what Danny Garcia said. When he took the fight. That's what's up. Danny Garcia said when he took the fight, he was concerned about Keith's power, but he said after they got in the fight, he said it wasn't his power, it was Keith's speed. Keith's speed could be the whole difference if he got his legs. That's what I was thinking in this fight with Costa Zoo. But it's just all about what Keith heart, head, and mind that because Keith is, I think, is way faster than Zoo. Keith is a guy that when he fight, he naturally throw combinations. A lot of these fighters now don't throw combinations. People, they most of them so busy trying to fight like Floyd did. Now you got all these fighters taking one punch at a time. You got to put them punches together. That's what Crawford did against Spence. He put combinations, put them punches together, the good big shots. In my opinion, Keith Thurman got some of the most explosive and explosive and confusing 1, 2, 3s. Most people on their 1 through 3 is gonna shoot you a jab, a right and a left hook. Keith Thurman, the type to shoot you a jab, a uppercut, overhand right hook, jab. I mean, he always mix his combinations up in a way that you probably not gonna expect him to come. And I've seen him get all three off on a lot of people, man. And I really can see him turning Zoo and hitting him, putting three or four big punches together and getting on up out of there. There's ways for Keith to win this fight, but he got to be on point with his defense. He got to be in 15-round boxing shape. And he got to lay something on Zoo early to let him know you can't just run up in here like that. Similar to what Floyd did when he fought Pacquiao, if y'all don't remember. When in the first round he caught Pacquiao, I mean, he blazed him with a vicious right hand. And that was to keep him from attacking and putting all that pressure on him because a lot of times there's no doubt man, Keith 10 times better. But this dude is one dimensional. Keith Thurman can box, he can bang, he can move around the ring. He has also shown now. Here's where you gotta give credit where credit due with Keith too. Yeah, he's gotten hurt to the body in several fights, but you know what he always do? He don't go down. He suck it up and he worked through it. That will benefit him in a fight like this, possibly with Zoo. If he get caught with something, it won't be his first time getting hit and having to stay away from a fighter and get his second win. And while he's in the ring, a lot of fighters just can't do it. A lot of them panic. Like that's another thing Keith hasn't done in these fights when he get hurt. He don't panic because he got hurt with something he didn't like. He got sense enough to either tie up or start moving. And TMZ to me, like I say, if we just go on by the numbers, he should win. He's the younger fighter. He's the bigger fighter. He's the taller fighter. He's the bigger puncher. Now Keith is the more experienced fighter, in my opinion, the faster fighter, in my opinion, the better all-around boxer. In my opinion, Keith got better legs. In my opinion, Keith is, if you asked who is just, if you just said which one of them can box the best, I would have to say Keith Thurman. But sometimes that's not who gonna dictate the fight. It was a lot of fighters that Deontay Wilder fought against that was better boxers than Deontay, but when he caught them with them big punches, they couldn't take the power. Tank. Some of them dudes might, Tank is a guy, you might be outboxing him. I think Mario Barros and Leo Santa Cruz was outboxing Tank. But that power is the equalizer. Keith has not shown that type of power in a long time. But I watched the dude, Terrell Gauchua, something like that. A dude he's 24-3 right now with 12 knockouts. I recently seen him. I mean, maybe a couple of years ago, maybe 2 years tops, where he dropped. He dropped Zoo in the first round. And I remember some Floyd said, who was he fighting? Who was Floyd finna fight? It might have been Zab, I'm not sure. But whoever it was, he had watched him get knocked down in a fight, and he said, "Well, you already showed if you get hit hard, you'll fall, you'll go down." If Keith catch, well, I ain't gonna say if Keith is going to catch Zoo with some nice stuff in there, and I think if Keith is mentally prepared and truly got his heart in it and dialed in for this fight, I believe Keith gonna be able to walk that dude and all type of shit because his knowledge and his experience alone should be able to he should be able to set all types of traps and exploit his this dude's inexperience. And I think that's gonna have to be Keith's biggest advantage point to exploit the inexperience of the younger fighter to try to use his aggression against him. Floyd was the master at doing that. When you come and be real aggressive, if you are a great fighter with great defense and offense, you can use that aggression against this dude. So I see so many ways where Keith Thurman, if he really in shape, if he really taking his fight serious, can somehow get the upset. But it's all about where his mind at, how serious. What's up, Oxtelia? But how serious he is about this fight. But if Keith, like he said, remember last year he thought he was going to fight Spencer. He was in training camp, but I think he been in training camp twice and didn't get the fights. So I don't know how far he got in training. I don't know how his training regimen goes, but if he been sparring and staying in shape for the most part, he may not be quite as bad off as we think he is. Do y'all recall some years ago? Now I'm not comparing Keith Thurman's skills to Floyd Mayweather. I'm not doing that. But I think, don't y'all remember when Floyd he retired? I can't remember after which fight. It might have been after the Gotti fight or one of them, but Floyd had retired. But really, all he did was took a year off. I think he was out the ring either 14 or 16 months or something like that. And he came back and fought Marquez at 140 pounds and annihilated him. You would have never known he had been out the ring a month. How good Floyd looked in there. I mean, the dude couldn't touch him. So who's to say Keith have not been at home working hard? Because if he have, Keith got good defense. Keith got a good mind. He's an intelligent fighter, and people keep saying he had no knockout in 10 years. No, he haven't. What the hell that got to do with anything? The dude that knocked Tim Zoo down only got 12 knockouts on his resume, and more than likely, they was against those gimme fights. The first 10 or 15 fights that everybody win. That's when he got his knockouts. So that you really can't even respect the knockouts that dude had, but he put Tim Zoo on the mat. Ain't nowhere in the hell that dude knocked him down. And you telling me if Keith set the right trap, he ain't gonna knock him down too. That's why I was thinking whoever win this fight, uh, more so Zoo than Keith Thurman. But if Zoo was to win this fight, he would be tailor made for Earl Spence because he's gonna be right there in front of him, coming forward, wanting to bang it out. Then Earl would be more able to be similar to who Crawford was when they fight, because he'll be the one somewhat boxing and using the dude's aggressiveness against him. Because I think that's the only route I see that Keith can win if he make this guy aggressiveness be his own worst enemy. Coming in there looking for the knockout. Like that's all you keep hearing Tim Zoo say. He gonna knock Keith out. I seen it happen to Floyd. I seen it happen to Floyd. I seen it happen, I think, to Roy Jones once. I seen it happen to Vernon Forrest. I've known several. I mean, these is good fighters who I'm talking about too. I've known real good fighters when they go in the ring. Yeah, you got a hell of an IQ still, but when they go in the ring and going in training camp, at Deontay Wilder looking for the knockout, it don't come to knockout. You gotta just let the knockout come and in his natural his natural way throughout the fight. When you go out looking for them knockouts, you ain't necessarily gonna get lose. But I've seen a lot of guys just look real bad and just really uh put themselves in a lot of danger that they didn't have to be in big fights, chasing a dude, trying to get the knockout. I hope and hopefully Keith mean what he say because he said what he said was hell. If I ain't know no better, I'd have thought he watched this one video I made because I was saying when he fights Zoo in that first round, Keith need to come out there, plant his feet, and put some big punches on this dude. I ain't saying just walk out there and slug it out, but before that first round over, he needs to stand there and really sit down on some of them punches and put some serious heat on that boy. I ain't, just a nice couple of big shots to let him know it's for real over here. I think that would change the entire complexion of the fight. I don't think Tim Tszyu respects his power. He acting like he don't respect him, period, as a fighter. And that's just because of inactivity. And a lot of people don't like Keith because they think he talk too much. That's his job to talk too much. He trying to sell a fight. It's hard to, he try